Yai diddy die, diddy die, 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 yai diddy die, diddy die. Yai diddy die, diddy die, 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 yai diddy die, diddy die. Ay, diddy die, diddy die, 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 yai diddy die, diddy die. Yai diddy die, diddy die, 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 yai diddy die, diddy die. Yai die, 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 yai diddy die, diddy die. Yai die, 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 yai diddy die, diddy die. Eli, Eli, shelo yigamer leolam, hakol v'hayam, v'yishu shel hamayim, v'rak hashamayim, tfilat adam, hakol v'hayam, v'yishu shel hamayim, v'rak hashamayim, tfilat adam. Lord, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the water, the flash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the flash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach to all of you. Ending Passover. Let's see, it started Saturday night. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So tomorrow, I believe, is the last night of Passover. Could be wrong, but we'll take a look at the calendar. Let's see what the calendar says. Oh, we're already in April. All right. Anyway, Passover is coming to an end. Shabbat is coming to a beginning. And as it is coming to a beginning, we bless the candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. So I'm going to click on your comments here so that in case you make a comment, I can know you're there. We're on Rick Concoff's Facebook. We're on the Jewish Community Center of Sonoma County Facebook. We are on the I Was in Rick Concoff's class Facebook. And sorry, the letters are coming on in a really weird way. As far as with the voice recognition putting on the screen, so ignore it if it says something funny. Shabbat, the Sabbath. It has been said that one of the most important things to realize in terms of how we live our lives is that depression comes from focusing on and regretting and being upset about the past. Anxiety comes from worrying about the future. So the only time we really have when we are at peace is now. And the older that we all get, we realize how precious now is, because right now everything's okay. And right now we are content. And right now we are ready for some relaxation, some kicking back. So I want to say that Shabbat is a time for whatever you need, and not to be dictated by somebody else or some other law, but to stay in the framework or in the tradition or in the context of Shabbat, which is to be a time that is different from the rest of the week. So how do you make tonight and today, from tonight till tomorrow night, how do you make that different than the rest of the week? And you do that by moving into what I call God space, which is being in a space where you can be relaxed and in the moment. And so let's just take a moment, everybody, to do some breathing together and to be in the moment. The breathing in is symbolic of anticipation, of waiting. And the breathing out is the completion, the attaining of the state of perfect peace, inner peace, which is really a choice. We have the possibility to be content. We have the possibility to be happy. We have the possibility to be free. We have the possibility to be loving and kind. And then we make the choice to step into those behaviors. That is our choice. So really, we are very gifted and endowed with a very, very high level of choice in our lives. So we make the choice to be free of worry, to be free of angst, at least for the moment. The inhale is to take it in, is the anticipation, and to exhale is to let it out. Breath, wind, spirit, all contained in the Hebrew word ruach. Mikolot mayim, mayim rabim adirim, misperei Bama Adonai. Yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. So this week I was lucky enough to be able to go out to Mendocino. And on the way home, we stopped at a place called Hindi Woods, which is a place where we've had many summer camps, campouts for the kids from Camp High, from JCC in Sonoma County, Shomrei Torah, Beth Ami, Ner Shalom. And we took a walk. And I realized something very unique about the forest. I noticed the forest is actually cacophonous. We say it's beautiful, we get rest and we get peace and we get tranquility from it. And yet the forest is a cacophonous mess of standing trees, standing bushes, all kinds of greens and fallen trees and fallen leaves and fallen branches, and nothing is really in order. Although in reality, everything is really in order. Everything is perfect, and we feel that everything around us, whether dead or alive, is actually alive, and it has a soul, a neshama. We feel like everything has a neshama. So what's the difference between that environment and we look around in our room, and if things are cacophonous, not concophonous, but cacophonous, we are irritated by it. We want to put things in order. We don't like things to be out of order and to be misplaced and to look like they're just randomly put down. But that's what happens in the forest. So why is it that it bothers us so much in our house and in our room? And I think that's because the forest is pure in and of itself. And it always has been pure, and it will remain pure in a regenerative way. But when you take certain elements from the forest, metals, woods, oils, and you fuse them together and you make an object, like let's say a radio or a cell phone or headphones, you make some object, then we don't look at that object and say that it has a soul, unless we're animists, and unless we're Jain, in the Jain section of Buddhism, and we believe in animism, that everything has a soul. Generally, we don't look around our room and think that things have a soul. They're just things. So when you synthesize the elements and you put them together to make a new machine, then the machine doesn't have a soul. It becomes neutral, and it can be used for good or for bad. And so just like a knife or a gun can be used for protection or can be used to harm. A knife can be used to heal someone through surgery or kill someone through stabbing them. So basically, once the elements are combined to make an object, then that object becomes neutral in that it can go in any direction that it is used by a human. Yet we step back out into the forest and everything looks as it is and as it should be. We take a deep breath and we smell all the different scents, and we have a sense of now in the forest. So that's what I love the most about being in Hindi woods in the forest. I felt very blessed. So tonight I wrote about time. And I'll tell you how the time conversation started. But first, let's do another song. Every May Madonai, oh Christian, my Father. Every May Madonai, oh say Shamayim Baret. Esa Enai, Eleari, Meayin, Meayin, Yavo Ezri. Esa Enai, Eleari, Meayin, Meayin, Yavo Ezri. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Shabbat Shalom. Tonight we are on Rick Concoff's Facebook. We are on Rick Concoff's YouTube. We are on Facebook Live, and we are on, I believe I was in Rick Concoff's class and Sonoma County Jewish Community Center. So if you're out there, say hello and let us know you're there. And hello, Phyllis. It's always good to see you every time. Time. So in antiquity, the original way in which people paid homage to the higher forces was through sacrifice, animal sacrifice. And right now, to sacrifice an animal, not necessarily eat it or only eat part of it, seems wasteful and seems ridiculous and meaningless. And that's because we don't raise our own flocks. But if we raise our own flocks and we're asked to bring one of our flock, one of our livelihood, one that we had raised from the beginning to be sacrificed on the altar, this would be a very sad and huge sacrifice. So just as human sacrifice faded out after the Akedah, after the binding of Isaac, it segued to animal sacrifice, and animal sacrifice faded out and segued to prayer. And the original prayer was original in that it originated from individual people. And then later, prayers began to be assembled from the Torah, from the writings, from the scriptures, from the text, to become what we know now as our prayers. And of course, the Shema being the most important. And so take a brief pause in the explanation to sing the Shema. We'll do a little different melody tonight. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Bo'ed. So, in antiquity, the sacrifice of an animal would really be the highest sacrifice that you could make. So today, we don't really relate to that. So what is the highest sacrifice that we make today? We don't sacrifice humans. We don't sacrifice animals. We slaughter animals and we eat them, but we don't sacrifice them on an altar. What is the highest commodity of sacrifice in modern times? And if you really analyze it, even higher than money, even higher than gifts, even higher than our attitudes or opinions, the sacrifice of our opinions, is the sacrifice of time. How many times a week do you respond to someone by saying, I don't have time? It's common to not have time to say I don't have time. Time is precious. Time is not refundable or returnable. You can't put time on layaway. Remember what layaway was back in the day. Time is a one-time final purchase. And once you've spent it, it's done. The experience that you have in the time isn't done, but the time is done. So time is critical. And when someone says, do you have the time to help me? Or do you have the time to participate in this? Or do you have the time to do this mitzvah? Or do you have the time to work or whatever? Do you have the time? We consider that very intensely and very mindfully. And often we say, no, I'd love to, but I don't have time. So time is the ultimate sacrifice. Money, you can go get more. Things, commodities, food, housing, you can go get more. But time, you can't go back and get time. An example is if you have had a pet in its final days, and the pet is still coherent enough to take walks and to eat and to play, you really relish that time because you know that when the pet is gone, you will look back longingly at that time. It happens often when someone dies. And when they're still alive, we're like, okay, I can't go see them today, but maybe I'll go see them tomorrow, or maybe I'll go see them the next day. But when they're gone, we would sacrifice almost anything to get 5 minutes or a half hour, an hour of that time back. So we have some work going on in the background. It's not Shabbat yet, so we're good. It's part of life. So time is that high element of sacrifice. And it's important to remember on the Shabbat that we can't really ever get it back. We can get back the memory, we can get back the experience, but we can't, the memory of the experience, but we can't get the time. So, Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha Uferos Aleinu and since it's still Passover, you know, it's funny when it's Passover, we can sing that song, and the minute Passover is over, it just feels weird to sing that song. And that's another function of time, is doing things in the proper time. So if I was to suddenly start singing a Hanukkah song, or a Purim song, or a High Holiday song, it would just be weird. Just as weird as if I would start to sing a Christmas song at Easter time. So what would be a good thing to do during this week, the final days of Passover, today being Good Friday for the Catholic Christian community and Sunday being Easter for that same community? What we can do is we can realize that, and I love this statement, and I would love to share this with every person, especially every kid, child that I know. You don't have to be wrong for me to be right. So your belief in what you believe in can stand side by side by my belief without either one of us having to give up our belief. And that's the true definition of equanimity as far as belief goes. It's just when we start saying that if you don't believe like I believe, then you are wrong and I am right. And certainly those who think that the other is wrong and they are right are often mistaken and need to realize that both people can be right. And having taught comparative religions for many years, I realized that there are many, many paths to God. And as long as your path doesn't prohibit me or inhibit me or distract me from going on my path, then it's all good. We take a lot of different roads to get to the same place. And we all abide by the sense that we should think of others in terms of how we would like to be treated. So one of the best things to do this week is to be kind of ecumenical and be accepting of all points of view and all ways of looking at issues that are righteous. And that's really important because righteousness is is the path to certain goodness. And we all know when we're doing something that's righteous or not righteous. And if we stopped when we're doing something that's not right, we stopped ourselves, the world would be such a better place. As a matter of fact, if we just allowed everybody else to have the space that we require, then life would be easier and better. I'd like to dedicate this cup of delicious Kedem, grape juice from Israel. It smells good. Not wine, grape juice, good for everybody. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava, uv'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha Ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. One of the most common sayings in Judaism, besides l'chaim, to life, is mazel tov. And I used to think that mazel tov meant good luck or congratulations, but it actually means something different. It actually relates to a statement in the Talmud that I love and that I repeat often, and I'm glad to repeat it often because it's a beautiful statement. Think about this. Think about as if we are just a gigantic lawn. We are a gigantic lawn from a distance. But when you come up to us, we are thousands of individual blades of grass. So actually, a lawn is called a lawn, but actually, we are. It is made up of individual blades of grass. Okay. So this is the saying. Imagine you're one of those blades of grass, hovering over every single blade of grass is an angel whispering, grow, grow. Hovering over every single blade of grass is an angel whispering, grow, grow. And angels come in all forms. And they come to us often when we least expect it, or sometimes when we wish for it in a very intense way. And so the mystical definition of Mazel Tov means may the essence of God and God's angels drip down on you. So imagine that whatever God is, whatever angelic essence is, that it would drip down on you as you are that single blade of grass. Wow. That would be extraordinary. And a nice way of looking at the protection that we get from that which is around us and above us, and that it's a gesture. It's not a being. Really, any human word in our entire vocabulary that you use to try to explain and express what God is would be feeble, because what God is can only be explained without words. So, that being said, I'd like to say Shekianu. The Shekianu is a blessing which says we are grateful to have come all the way from back then to now, which is to say that Judaism, like music and like love and like us, is a continuum. Human life is a continuum because it's always contingent on it having been created by the life before it. And we don't know how far back it goes, but an awful long way. And we don't know how far forward it goes, but we know that we're all on a continuum and we get this short little time on earth to do our thing. And so my encouragement to you would be, and to all of us, would be that old adage from the 60s, do your own thing. Do what gives you joy. If what gives you joy is creating things, then get on the creative continuum. And if what gives you joy is loving others, then get on the love continuum. And if what gives you joy is being tranquil and being pensive and meditative, then get on the meditative frequency. So there's all these frequencies. And when you get up on that frequency of the thing that you love, it can be as simple as probably a past time hobby, which was stamp collecting. And I remember collecting stamps. I remember every time I got a new stamp, I had a rush. And we know that it sounds funny, but it is kind of a dopamine rush when you get a new thing to add to your collection, or a new thing to add to the joy of your experience. And hopefully that lasts for a long time. Hopefully that lives in you and with you and makes you feel rejoiced and fulfilled and excited and enthused, because we all have a time in the middle of the day when we get a little bit down. And we get to be brought up by the knowledge that we get to do things and accomplish things and dream things and make things happen. So whatever the continuum is, let's get on it. We can't actually escape the continuum of life. We don't know if it's linear or if it's a circle, but what we know is that we're on it. And we are privileged to be the humans that are alive at this moment. Because all the people who have passed are not alive. And all the people who are yet to be born are not here. They exist as part of the oneness. We've talked about that before. They don't not exist. They just exist in other broken up forms, in chemicals, and substances. But right now, all of our chemicals and substances have been put together in such a way that we have a life. And that we have a life, we've been given a body. And our job is to learn and grow, so that the next time that whatever it is we call our soul goes around, it's a little bit wiser, a little bit stronger, a little bit smarter, and has a little more capacity to give and to love. So get on the continuum of Shabbat, the Shabbat frequency, which is to make the Shabbat different than the rest of the week. How do you make it different? I don't know. When's the last time you wrote a poem? Or when's the last time you read a book? Or when's the last time you took a stroll? You know, my grandpa, Dave, may his memory be for a blessing, used to say, Ricky, whatever you do, don't waste time. And that created a little bit of paranoia in me, because he did lead a fairly short life by today's standards. And every moment was precious to him. He had a very hard life. He grew up in an orphanage. He was blind by midlife. He had diabetes and cancer, all kinds of things. He was such a survivor. But when he said, I didn't realize until my own middle age that when he said don't waste time, he didn't mean do not sit idle. He did not mean do not stroll or ponder. When he said don't waste time, he meant not being present and available and alive and joyful for and in the moment. So when you're raging or when you're immersed in battle, it's a little hard to be present, and you can lose that time and you can't get it back. So what he meant by don't waste time is be in the world, sort of seek out the possibilities and make choices that fit and work for you. So, my dream is to have each of us and each of you to experience Sabbath joy, Sabbath peace, Sabbath tranquility, Sabbath curiosity, Sabbath kindness, Sabbath loving kindness, Sabbath giving, Sabbath receiving, and looking out for our fellow human beings. And as we conclude Passover for this year, and I think I'll close with a Passover song. So we were slaves. Once we were slaves, now we are free. And that's not where it stops. Because as long as there's one slave in the world, one person enslaved by poor salary, or one person enslaved by bad treatment or captivity, or one person enslaved by in a relationship, then we are not completely free. So, Abadim Hayinu. Abadim Hayinu, Hayinu. benechorim, benechorim. Avadim, ayinu, ata benechorim, benechorim. Ata benechorim, benechorim. Oh, avadim, ayinu, ayinu. Ata benechorim, benechorim. Avadim, ayinu. Ata benechorim, benechorim. Ata benechorim, benechorim. Shalom, 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 Shabbat. Shalom. Thank you all so much for joining tonight, for taking part in this Shabbat and every Shabbat. And may you have health and happiness and contentment, and most important, joy in this coming Sabbath and in this coming week. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.